Alrighty, family, shalom, shalom, shalom. I want to give all glory, all honor, and all praises unto Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shah, Wa Rakakwadash, giving all glory, all honor, and all praises unto the Most High Heavenly Father for this very moment. I want to say Barakathum to all of those who are being diligent inside this truth, starting from the elders on down to the youth, those who are doing the best that they can when it comes down to keeping the commandments of the Most High Heavenly Fathers, as well as carrying on the faith of the Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, is Malak, and as we always like to make it known, it's all about the kingdom. So, hey man, this is going to be, in some furtherance and what Yahweh Yahweh Shai, is moving me on to speak about, in the spirit, and not only just that, but carrying out on what it means to be a minister of the new covenant, So to get right into it, I got the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, and I'm going to read from verse 1 through 8. And my reasons for this is because I want y'all to see something within it, where you can be able to see the level of importance, and when it comes down to what salvation is about, because there's layers, when it comes down to salvation, when it comes down to exalting Yahweh Yahweh Shah's name. Some things we act out on without consulting with the Lord and end up having something to backfire on us because we were not in a state of using wisdom. So as a minister of the new covenant, I acknowledge on my behalf that regardless of what situations may seem like, regardless of what others may think about you on about and what they may not stand in agreement to and what the Lord is leading you and what to do, key point, you're doing what the Lord is leading you and what to do. Because there is a time and a purpose for everything. So in the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 1, it said, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. Now, before I go further, when it said a time to be born and a time to die, meaning there is a time for transformation. And transformation takes place when you're in tune with spiritual information. You see, all the things that are connected to heavenly wisdom, because you gained a better perspective on what it means to be like, it is not of my will, but it is of thine will, and thy will be done. You see, the mindset begins to be transformed because of the estate and its obedience to the Spirit of the Lord. Whereas like the world or those who are speaking that they are of Yahweh Yahweh Shah, right? When something is not convenient for them at a moment, will they still stay in the spirit? You see, I had a situation months ago where I was dealing with that, still dealing with some things, but for the most part, what I can say, I'm grateful. I'm extremely grateful in what the Lord has made within himself out of his judgments and helping me to develop more better. You see, because he's shaping and molding us to be more spiritual minded in our matters when it comes down to Akim and Akwatium, but most importantly when it comes down to his will and what is of his way. Because I remember, like I said, I did videos on it. I had, problems going on, and it was just like, I felt like no brother wanted to help, or no brother, you know what I'm saying? It was like, no, you do got brothers that you do know You know, brothers that you knew for years that's still here, and they're doing the best that they can to be there with you. And it's like, you know what? I was going off, and I called each brother up and apologized to them, you know, and what I had on my heart towards them. Because I was in a state of not only mourning, but I also was grieved in my heart, you know, with a lot of things that have been taking place in my life that Yahweh Shem Yahushua has allowed to take place in my life. And I'm grateful for that because it helped me to lean more onto what is of the Lord's way in dealing with things. You know what I mean? Just because something is in the word and it's like, oh, do this and do that. Yeah, it's in the word, but it may not be that time for that. Some brothers and some sisters have to experience certain things in order to be prepared for what Yahweh Shem Yahushua has for them. You see? And that's all in place and where wisdom stands at. So it's a time to be born and a time to die. Meaning there is a time for transformation to take its part where the old man dies off and that new man, meaning that new creature in Hamashiach, which is of you as a soul, taking a hold of the inner man and delighting yourself in the Lord, which is merging you more into a place of what is of his will and his way. You see? A time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. You ever see, like, if you're growing, let's say, any fruits or anything, and let's say first, you know, the seeds got to get dried out and everything, and then from there, you know, you can look it out even if you're getting packs of seeds, and you take those seeds and there is a method that you got to do before you put it in the dirt. Because certain seeds, you have to have them to sprout first and then plant them. And then you have certain ones that you could put in good soil where it begins to sprout on its own. And it's in a small pot. And it goes from being in a small pot and sprouting to now going into a bigger pot. But if you look at certain seeds that have taken root, when it's being uprooted, right, and transferred over into another pot, right? What's going on is at that moment, those roots are now able to spread out even more, which is going to help that tender plant to sprout up even more so that it can become stronger and become more of what the sower has the desire for that plant to grow up to be as. Meaning, this is a process in where Yahweh Shem Yahushua stands at and working with us out of this grace that he has bestowed within our lives in these perilous times. So look at this. When that plant is sprouting in that one pot, and it's a small pot, it's because it's comfortable. And to be relocated, right, into another pot, you got to think there are some roots that are going to be shown where it's like, hey, I'm now being taken out of my comfort zone. Sometimes we are taken out of our comfort zones, though it's all a part of what is working out for our good. But when you really meditate on it, because there are some things that we carry on that the Lord is not pleased with, that needs to die off, because it will stunt your growth when it comes down to where the Lord is desiring for you to be at in the spirit in these perilous times. And even if he got to allow the pressure to be set upon you heavy, that's what he would do, just like he has done unto Jonah. You see? All right? So just because you're being plucked up, that's not mean you're being destroyed. It's just saying that you're being moved from one place to the next. Get comfortable in being in the hands of the Lord. Because even the planter, right, who has sown the seed, he has that plant in his sight. He has that plant also in his hands, saying, we are in the hands of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, even in the midst of the transformation. That's all a part of the molding and shaping, because he's preparing us for greater. You see? But in that transferring, there is a level of endurance and where we got to stand at. And that's why I always said, many of us got to take hold to what we speak about. Because when you get challenged on what you speak about and you can't make a stand for it, not only publicly, but also in secret, we make a fool of our own selves. You see? Not only publicly, but also in secret. Saying if you can be Yahweh Bashim Yahushua publicly and be motivated and speak unto others about it, it got to also be in secret. Anything that I do, for the most part, in secret, and what I do share at times to motivate Akim and Agwathim, you see, I got points where it's a balance. Where the balance is like, it's not always good moments. It's moments when moments are set up against me. You know, being raw in this, man. And that's what many of us have to grasp onto when it comes down to what does it really mean to serve the Lord? What does it mean? You see? All right. Verse 3, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up. Come on, man. You see the transformation going on, but that's all through wisdom. That's mama. All right. Verse 4, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. You're not going to always be dancing. You're not going to always be laughing. It's fake to jump on the camera and make it like everything is good, but behind closed doors, things are going, you feel like you're going through hell. And you think in your mind, well, everybody, don't have to know about what I'm going through. Sometimes the Lord will use your situations and what you go through as a testimony in bringing strength to other brothers and sisters. Because of what you're going through, you keeping it real. All right? Verse 5, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. You see? A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. There's a time when, because the stones, as far as like judgments, there's a time where judgments are brought out, and there's a time when you gotta take those, you gotta embrace those judgments. You see, you gotta gather those things. Them stones are being gathered to do what? To build upon on. Meaning you building yourself up on the judgments of the Lord. You see? A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. Meaning there is a time where you just you embrace certain situations. And there is a time when you just gotta let go of certain situations. But you'll know how. Out of wisdom. And we're gonna go into that and I'm gonna share that. A time to get and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to cast away. A time to rend and a time to sow. A time to keep silence and a time to speak. Saying there is a time when you give an answer and there is a time when you refrain from giving out the answer. Because sometimes you may jump ahead of what the Lord is really trying to do. Where it's like, hey, the Lord can be speaking to that person, to that sister, or to that brother. And you may jump up ahead of the Lord and end up giving an answer. And it may not be what the Lord is having for them to receive at that moment. Because he's trying to have them to let go of certain things in order for themselves to connect with him. to hear him. Verse 8, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. You see? That's real. All right? This is why I had myself to jump on those matters. All right? In 1 Chronicles chapter 14 and verse 8, it said, and when the Philistines heard that David was anointed king over all Israel, all the Philistines went up to seek David. And David heard of it and went out against them. Meaning David prepared himself. Right? And he went out against them. Right? To do what? To prepare for battle. Right? Verse 9. And the Philistines came and spread themselves in the valley of Salaki, if I can get it right, Rephaim. Right? So when you look at this, right? Why they spread themselves out? To make David and his men to be in fear, to make it look like, yo, we are greater in numbers. You see? But we know in the scriptures, the Lord has said he hasn't given us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and a sound mind. And if you can attain that out of wisdom, you will see as a soul through that inner man. This is where our power is at. With Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua. All right? Verse 10. Because our power is in his word. This is the point here. Verse 10. And David inquired of Yahweh. All right? Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, saying, shall I go up against the Philistines? You see? He prepared himself, but then some clicked in his mind and said, hold on. I got to inquire of the Lord. Saying sometimes it's natural for us to jump the gun on what to do in certain situations. Rather, we are responding to others and what they're needing to receive as far as an answer, or rather, it's about, it could be anything. You know what I'm saying? It could be anything. You can jump the gun on something and it may backfire on you because you wasn't using wisdom. So David, he said, shall I go up against the Philistines, and will thou deliver them into my hand? And the Lord said unto him, go up, for I will deliver them into thy hand. You see? If you can see from there with a clear eye, and what the Lord was, it's like the Lord didn't say nothing to David. The Lord was sitting back because he knows David's heart. At that moment, David was in a position as far as himself to prepare himself to go up against them. And then it's like, well, hold on. I gotta consult with the Lord first before anything, because that's our power. We can't win no battles without consulting with the Lord on anything. That could be a battle that you may be going through right now in your life. It could be anything, a moment that may seem like an intense battle for you. But those moments are the moments when the Lord is requiring for you to consult with him before you are consulting with anybody. Because the scriptures have made it known in Proverbs, right? Matter of fact, let me pull it up. Oh my goodness. In Proverbs, right? Let me see. Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 5. It says, trust in the Lord with all thy heart, and lean not unto thy own understanding. You see, David didn't lean to his own understanding at that moment. He put the Lord first because he understands out of wisdom there's a time and a place for everything. Like what is mentioned in Ecclesiastes chapter 3. You see? But look at this. It's not only trusting in the Lord with all thy heart and lean not unto thy own understanding, but in verse 6 it said, in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. You see? He shall direct thy paths. You see? It's like basically, don't be so hasty to do something because of you having a moment of discomfort. That's the transferring of you going from one place to the next, like that tender plant that's leaving from one pot to the next pot. And then from that one pot, going into a bigger pot. And then from there, getting planted in the ground, where it don't have to worry about any weeds or anything else, or trying to overthrow it, trying to destroy it. You see, showing you being in the hands of the Lord is more important than anything else in this world. So verse 7, be not wise in thy own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil. Fear the Lord and depart from evil. When you fear the Lord, you're going to make it within yourself to consult with him before anything. Before anything. And that's real talk. You see? So, just with that alone, I pray, this was something that was encouraging, and it was something that will be of motivation to Akim and Agwathium. And this is something that the Lord was putting on my spirit even yesterday. When that video comes up, hopefully, y'all be able to see that video, but it's still processing. But overall, hey man, I love y'all. Y'all stay up and stay blessed. Shalom to your family. Shalom.